Hey, this is former WWE superstar Eugene, and today we're going to talk about some of the craziest WWE scandals of all time. One scandalous event, of course, was at WrestleMania when John Stossel gets the ear slapped.
You think it's fake? What the hell's wrong with you? That's open hand slap, huh? You think it's fake? You come.
Well, we all heard that John Stossel sues WWF for loss of ear damage, but then he came out years later in an interview saying that, well, he actually didn't lose his hearing. So him saying wrestling is phony, getting slapped in the ear, telling a judge that he really got hurt when he didn't, there's some kind of irony there. And then, of course, Hogan choking out Richard Belzer. We see that. And then Hogan front face lock dropping him, he busts his head. I'd seen an interview with Richard Belzer years later. He sued WWF and I think Hogan both for that. And I guess he won enough to buy a huge home in France. And I can't remember if he named it Shea Hogan or something, but it was just kind of a nod to getting choked out. But he told Hulk to do it. There's got to be some culpability for a TV guy saying, hey, yeah, put one of those wrestling holds on me, okay? And you choke him out. And I'd heard the stories of the WrestleMania 1 screw job between Wendy Richter. I think Mula was under a mask as maybe Lady Satan, I can't, the Spider Woman, something like that. But I never really believed that one because I thought, how does Wendy Richter not know that's Mula? I mean, how many girls are in the company, and are they going to put you in the ring with someone that, I mean, all the old-timers, all the veterans of the business talk about back then, oh, we just get in the ring, call it the ring, kid. Maybe so. Is it feasible that you're going to go to the ring with somebody that you didn't see before, that you've never seen? I mean, I know it's been done. I have done it, but not often. Would Wendy Richter go out there against somebody at WrestleMania not knowing a thing? Maybe so. But they went on to at least tell the truth or perpetuate the kayfabe that Wendy Richter got screwed out of the women's title by Mula. You can obviously see, one, she kicks out, referee just says 2-3.
Oh, small package. Nicely executed. Whoa, was that close?
And the belt's awarded to Mula, who takes off the mask. If you remember when the Un-Americans were on WWE programming, which I think was Test and Christian and maybe Lance Storm, they started to get some real heat. And WWE quickly disbanded them. WWE doesn't want guys to get real heat. Asterisk. They only want certain guys to get any heat, but they don't want guys to get real heat because they don't want to be a heat-driven business. WWE is a variety show that happens to tour that wants to sell merchandise. We push that. We put that front forward. We don't put getting heat forward. But they only let certain people get heat because those are the guys who are going to wrestle their big stars. Triple H could get any kind of heat he wanted. The type of heat that he gave him, the babyface never gave it back or give it back to the extent. What makes me think of that is when I was in the angle with Triple H and Triple H attacked William Regal, he strapped him to a gurney and pushed him off, and Regal had no way to protect his face and just took a roll was on the floor. And then the episode where Hunter's beating up Regal in the hotel room and he's bloody. What comeback did Regal ever get for that? Eugene wrestled Triple H, but that was some serious heat. And it didn't seem to me that he ever gave it back. Is that because Hunter can just get as much heat as he wants? I don't know. Is that because the writers just forgot to write for it? I don't know. This is more of a tragedy than a scandal, but was Owen Hart's death, which was May 23rd, 1999. Owen Hart fell from the top of the arena in Kansas City, Missouri, and it shows Jerry the King Lawler and JR still trying to have to talk to the live audience on pay-per-view while they're trying to resuscitate Owen and eventually take him to the ambulance. Vince was trying to say that the arena was dark, so when Owen fell, no one saw him. And Vince goes, because if they would have seen, we definitely would have stopped the show.
The live audience didn't really see what happened. Had they seen, there's no question about it, you have to shut the show down.
I don't know if that's so much the truth, but I was wrestling at that time, and the story I got that I remember was, and what I think is, nobody knew if Owen was dead, although the documentary paints the picture that it shows, I think it was Bruce Pritchard saying a police officer says to Bruce, yeah, they pronounced him dead. But it didn't say where. The documentary makes it sound like it happened right there on the floor in the arena, which I don't know if it did, but I don't think it did. I think they put him in the ambulance and everybody thought, nobody knew. They rushed him to the hospital because then it showed Jeff Jarrett in a promo he was doing at the pay-per-view, the over-the-edge pay-per-view, right after Owen fell or soon after. And Jeff says, we're praying for you, Owen, because nobody knew. This was Brett saying this on the documentary, saying they wheeled Owen's dead body past everybody. Well, They might have, but were they for sure that he was dead? And I think that was the thing. And the question is, people always say today, is they should have stopped the show. I don't want to disrespect any, Owen Hart or his legacy or his memory, but I feel like the show went on, which it should have, because at that moment, they didn't know if Owen was dead or not. Because it was later that then JR had to break the news to everybody.
I have the unfortunate responsibility to let everyone know that Owen Hart has died.
They said they didn't tell the in-house crowd. Only the people on pay-per-view were the ones that got JR telling them. Ring Boy scandal, Terry Garvin, I can't remember the other guy's name, and Pat Patterson. They all ended up getting fired. Everybody knows Pat ended up coming back. And Pat had agented some of my matches in WWE. And I worked with him a couple of times as a coach at the Performance Center. He would come in and be a guest coach for a week every now and then. Everybody in the business knew that Pat was openly gay, and I don't think that anybody really cared. And I never once saw Pat act inappropriately in any way to anyone around me. Maybe I wasn't good looking enough. No, that's a joke. Although Tony Atlas claimed that Pat grabbed his pecker in the locker room. Tony said pecker.
He would grab my pecker.
Tony said I couldn't go to Vince McMahon because Pat was the booker. I couldn't complain to the booker because Pat was the booker. I couldn't complain to the boss because that was his man.
He needed Pat more than he needed me.
But the thought that an employee or someone couldn't go to someone higher up and say something bad or wrong or illegal is happening in your company made me think of when I was a coach at NXT. I was talking to some of the talent, and they had a gripe about something that was fairly legitimate. And I said, well, I didn't know what to do. I was still the newest coach there. I said, go to HR. And the talent said that they couldn't go to HR because someone previously had gone to HR when NXT was still in Tampa, complaining about then head coach at the time, Bill DeMott, had done something. And the first thing that the HR did is just tell Bill. So Bill pulls a guy into a meeting alone. And I think a couple years after, the talent that he was talking to did a podcast, which he started to let go of some more things that Bill had done. And that led to Bill's resignation while I was a coach, right after I was a coach, due to online allegations of improper conduct. I'm not even really sure what it was or what happened. I think the basic gist of it was everybody thought Bill was a bully. The fact that you work for a company, to think you can't go to HR to say, hey, something is happening to me, that's kind of a bad look and paints a bad culture inside the company. Benoit had the worst case of CTE that anybody had ever seen.
And they went on to say that Benoit's brain was the worst that they'd ever seen.
And when Nowinski put out that information with his concussion institution, I don't know the name of it. I'm sorry, Chris Nowinski. Chris Harvard. When they put out that information is when Vince goes, hey, I want to sponsor your investigations, your research, but you never heard anything else bad too much about, at least about the wrestlers. I mean, I don't know. I felt like WWE wanted to pay off the bad publicity about concussions. The NFL guys sued the NFL for concussion syndrome for players because now that we know better, we can do better. When the independent wrestlers tried to take Vince to court, the thing got thrown out of court. How can the NFL guys get $2 billion, $5 billion, whatever it is, $800 million, $8 million, $400 million? I don't know what the number was, but how can their case be heard and won and they receive a settlement and the wrestlers get thrown out when it's over the same trauma, brain trauma? Nowinski doing the research and Vince paying him off, not paying off, investing in the research so that they give out a proper, I don't know. I'm just alleging that, I suppose.
If you like this video and you want to see more content from Eugene behind the scenes, click on one of these videos. They are awesome.